Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Chauskas. Today's the 25th of July 2018. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session, where we're going to have a look at a few instruments. We're going to check out their charts. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content of this webinar does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Also, before we jump into the charts, the usual quick reminder of our JFD Brokers website, and specifically the JFD research page, where you can go in and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis. So yeah, feel free to check us out, and I believe you can find something useful here, guys, for yourselves. So yep, do not hesitate to visit us. But for now, let's have a look at the charts. So the first one I want to touch on is the DAX. Now, DAX is showing us this. Basically, it's sitting here within this triangle formation still. Certainly, if we can call it a triangle, we do have a bit of a blank space here and blank space there, but nevertheless, let's say on a bigger picture, it's still looking more like a triangle. So at the moment, we can see that it's kind of moving sideways a little bit. It seems that it's kind of making its way towards the apex more so this leads us to one idea that eventually we should get some sort of a big pop here, either through the upper side or through the downside. But for now, probably we're going to stay in this area here, especially what I'm looking at here is this little range between the 12,760. Actually, let me just quickly adjust this level. 760, and this lower side here, the 12,470. Now, this is the little range here that I've got in my radar, and I'm keeping an eye on it. So if we do get a nice push here to the upper side through this upper side of the range, we could eventually maybe aim higher and test this this lower upper side of the triangle formation, or the so-called downside resistance here. We could maybe end up testing that, and from there, of course, we'll have to just evaluate it again and see if it wants to break it or not and move higher, or does it actually wants to stay here and maybe move lower again. But for now, this is the scenario number one, just also judging by the fact that we're currently kind of still within this small upside trend here, inside this formation. So until kind of we're kind of creating higher lows here, for the target here is going to be more to the upside, and we could, like I said, initially aim for this level right here, the 12,760. Now, yesterday we can see that we almost managed to touch that level. We're probably a few points shy of hitting that area, but nevertheless, it seems to be looking quite bullish right now. And keep an eye today, especially keep an eye on this level right here, the 12,760. Let's see what he wants to do with it, because, like I said, a nice break above this could open the path towards higher levels. Let me just put a 4-hour chart on this one. Probably will be a little bit easier. So we do have some good areas of potential support here if this reverses back to the downside. Actually, let's get rid of this line. It's no longer relevant. We do have a nice area to watch here. This area here, the high of the 10th of July. This could be the initial point here, where the index, if it would reverse back down, where it could stall for a little bit. Also, we have this line coinciding with the 21 EMA here as well, so also could hold the price kind of from dropping further. But if actually it does break it to the downside, then, well, we are targeting this low here, the 12,470, the so-called lower side of the range. But slightly below that, of course, we do have some other good areas of potential support. Certainly this 12,400 is still in play, and the area here approximately around the 12,300, so something like that. So keep an eye, guys, on these two, only if, of course, if we get a nice break here below the 12,470. So but like I said, at this point it's slightly difficult, I would say, to kind of predict where it wants to go, just because it's stuck here and it kind of continues to move towards the apex of this bigger formation. But nevertheless, keep an eye on these key levels, especially keep an eye on this 12,760. Let's see if it breaks it or not. Let's jump into one commodity, or should I say precious metal. Let's put a daily on this one. And so certainly at the moment we're seeing some sideways action here. I mean, the commodity, the precious metal, kind of found its support here around this 15.20 zone. This has been the low that we saw here on around the 10th of July last year. So very good area of support here. I mean, it took it about a year to get to this point again. So nevertheless, like I said, keep an eye on this level here. If suddenly this reverses back down here, because at the moment, as you can see, it's kind of trying to push higher at around 15.625 mark. So keep an eye on that one. If we do get a break here above, now I wouldn't say exactly that from here we would start moving higher, but to be honest, this is the slightly better level to watch out for, because we do have also the 21 EMA here approaching this level here, the 15.75 mark. Now, if we do get a nice break here and a close above these two, then, well, this is where we could start potentially examining the higher levels. Certainly a good one to watch could be this one, the next one, the 15.99 mark, 98, something like that, approximately there. Now, of course, you can round it up to 16. You can do that, of course, but nevertheless, yep, we could start examining higher levels, but only if we get a nice break here above the 15.75. Now, on the downside, well, I mean, if we do get a nice good close below this 15.20, this key important support zone, well, this could be opening the path towards this next big good level of support around the 1440 zone, so something like that, so approximately there. Now this has been the lowest point here that we saw in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that quickly. Yep, that was the lowest point here. This is this sharp decline that we saw in silver on the 7th of July. So this could be a potential area then, if only we get a nice break here below the 15.20. So it's certainly, I understand that it's quite a big path here for silver to make, but nevertheless could be a nice area, potential area of support. Okay, let's have a look at a few pairs now. Now, with the euro dollar, to be honest, I had it highlighted, I had it marked here, but there's not much activity here apart from sideways activity. Not much happening. So at the moment, if you want to have a like to know my analysis on this one, check out a few of my previous videos where I've touched on euro dollar, and but at the moment there's not much to talk about it, to be honest. It's sitting here around this level here, the 116,800. Now this level coincides together with both the 21 and the 50 EMA, so we're just stuck here in that area and probably waiting for Draghi to speak tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah. Anyway, guys, keep an eye on it. We could eventually get maybe some sort of a big move here to one of these sides here, either the upper side of the range or the lower side of the range. Looking at the more interesting euro pair, which is the Euro CHF. Now, I was talking about this one in my one of my previous videos recently. So basically, just long story short, we have been trading above this upside support line here that has been running since around the 29th of May, but we managed to break it on the 23rd of July, and now we're kind of continuing to hold here below. But this is the trade idea that I kind of posted with you guys previously. So basically, we would need to see a nice move here below and a nice close below this below this level right here, the 116, the psychological 116 level, in order to kind of get comfortable with the potential downside scenario. This is where we could aim for the 115.45 mark as a potential TP. Certainly have your stop loss in place as it shows here. The stop loss can be adjusted for you guys. You be the judge how you want to do it. But like I said, yep, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on this potential trade idea. Where, like I said, a break and a close. This is probably the more important thing that I need to point out, is we need to see a nice close below this 116 level in order to kind of start examining lower levels. So for now, just keep an eye on it. On the upside, for us to kind of become more bullish on this one, we would need to see a total reversal, a move back up here above this short-term upside support line, and to see a close above that, and then of course maybe at some point later on to see a nice good close above this level right here, the 116.55, which could act as a breaking point, or like a change in this downside trend we are seeing. We could see then reversal and then a move maybe higher up here, but until we see that, we're leaning more towards the downside than the upside. Let's have a look at GBPJPY quickly, and certainly yesterday we had a good day here. We had a bit of recovery after we've seen some downside movement here since the 16th of July, and we've broken this upside support line. Let me just jump into the 4-hour chart back here, and we've managed to break this upside support line and then moved lower. Now we're seeing a bit of recovery here. The pair is now kind of slightly above the 21 EMA, so we could maybe see a move towards this area right here at around 146.65 for a good test. We can see that this area acted as a nice area of resistance around the 20th, last Friday actually. So it acted as a nice area of resistance here, and we could maybe eventually test that area again. But if it decides to break it this time, well, keep an eye on this little level right here, guys. Approximately around this one here, the 147.65 area, something like that. So up around that area, of course. Keep an eye on it, because if we get a nice close here above the 146.65, this could open the path towards this area right here. Now, if you can see, I've got a highlighted level here. This probably could mean that, let's say, if we get a nice move here back above this 147.65 and then a move back above the 148 mark, well, this is where it could become interesting, because probably the bulls could see this as a not just a small correction, but like a more of a good recovery here, or recovery here in retracement, of like a full retracement, and this is where we could start aiming for the this long-term upwards moving trend line. The pair kind of continues to trade below, so keep an eye on it, guys. Keep an eye on a few on these levels, but of course initially keep an eye on this one right here, the 146.65, and that's what's in regards to today. And one last pair that I really wanted to touch on, guys, before I run out of time, and that's USDCAD. Now, USDCAD certainly is stuck here in this little area. We're still kind of above the key point area of support here. Now, actually, let me just probably shift this highlighted zone towards this one, because this becomes, to be honest, more important now. So the 1.3125 zone becomes a very important area. So certainly for us to kind of move lower, let's say, or start examining lower levels, we would need to see a nice move below the 131.25 mark, and then of course this is where we could eventually hit this one, the 130. Let me just zoom in, the 130.70 mark. So approximately there, it acted as a nice area of support here on the 6th and the 7th, the 6th and the 10th of 11th of July. So this area this area kind of proved to be a nice potential area of support as well. So keep an eye on these two levels, guys. Initially, of course, keep an eye on the 130.125, and then keep an eye on this 130.70. So could be a nice testing area as well. But if these two start getting broken and we start seeing strong moves below that, well, this is opening the path towards this upside support line that we're seeing running since around the 2nd of February. Now we could end up testing that line as well here. So something like this could be possible, of course. This is what's in regards to the downside. Before we could act on this, we need to see, of course, this is when I'm talking about the longer term picture, because I'm looking at the daily here. If in the longer term picture, if you wanted to start targeting lower levels, we would need to see good closes below this initially, and then below that level here, the 130.70. This is where we could start examining the downside scenario. On the upside, well, we do have some good levels as well here, some good resistance level that if eventually they get broken, we could start positioning ourselves for some higher ones here. A good one to watch is, of course, initially the 132.25, and then if we do get a nice pop here above that, there are some recent good resistance levels here at around 132.65 and the 132.900, something like that, approximately there. If all these get broken, it's opening the path. It's opening the path for higher levels. Of course, could be opening the path. I mean, we shouldn't use the words like definitely or would. Well, yeah, could be opening the path. So, yep, guys, everything is still, you know, everything can change rapidly. So always keep an eye on the price action, and keep an eye on these few levels that I was just talking about, guys. So let's see what happens with them. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. If you want to join me later on today at my Traders Tea Time at 13:15 GMT, 14:15 British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much for watching and listening, and have a good day. Bye-bye.